McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino. A meal isn't just about what's on your plate. It's about what you bring to the table. San Pellegrino believes the table is where the best of life happens. That's what makes gathering around it so rich and rewarding. And with their unique, sparkling, natural mineral water, San Pellegrino brings its best so you can bring yours.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there's one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
What do you think is the biggest news in Chicago so far this summer? Jerry saying he's going to sell the Sox, or Hoover coming home?
Hoover coming home and the Sox moving out of Illinois. Bring Larry home, get the Sox up out of there.
Can we send the Sox to Supermax?
They need to be there so the way they're playing.
I think
the people that follow them don't even want to report on them.
that's facts. You know, it's hard to report on loss, win, loss. But, you know, like I said, the news around the town today is that Jerry has finally made a succession plan to sell the squad after a certain date. Yeah, he's 89 now, so you don't assume that he'll still be holding on to the controlling interest of the Sox when he's 103.
Is he gonna live long enough to sell the team? Well, what year is the sale supposed to be official? 2030?
Well, no, look, there is no official plans to sell yet. There's just an agreement that they could sell.
Okay. So it's a clear perception.
Right. There's an agreement that if I do sell, I'm gonna sell to you. That's where we're going at right now. But yeah, I agree with you, man. Hoover coming home is definitely better than anything the Sox have got going on.
Now, what do you think is the better feud brewing? The Bears and Packers trash talk, or the Elon Musk, Donald Trump White House feud?
I know which one I'm enjoying more. When he said, yeah, you know why the Epstein files have been released? It's because Donnie T is up.
So, can anybody say they're surprised?
No.
When two rich Caucasians who are used to cheating and lying and getting their way make a union, who didn't see this divorce coming and becoming messy?
You saw what Jake Paul said about it?
What did he say?
He said on Instagram, this is the problem with the Republican Party, because he's a Republican himself, obviously.
Yeah, I know. He's the MAGA guy.
He said the problem with the Republican Party is that there's too many alpha males. And sometimes when you're an alpha male, you can be a little immature. So somebody's got to be the leader in the room.
Alpha male or privileged male?
I think they're one and the same. But my thing is, when I read that, it's like, isn't one of these guys supposed to be the leader of the free world? Shouldn't he be the leader in the room?
That's the way I thought it was going to work. I mean, Elon and Trump are real similar. Both inherited a lot of riches from their dads. Very the crazy thing is Elon's father was part of South African apartheid, and Trump's father, or was it his grandfather, that was arrested at a KKK rally?
I think it was granddaddy.
Granddaddy. Okay. Well, either way, they come from a long line of people that benefited in segregated areas, but enough of those two.
Enough of that, man. Let's talk about something that's important, like the Chicago Bears winning the North in 2025. It's been a eventful offseason for the Bears. You know, we've won the offseason yet again. We got the coach. We got a bunch of free agents that we will hire on our list. We got the rookies that a lot of us like. It's a burden for you. Now we're in the camp. We're in the mandatory part of the summer, mandatory MiniCamp. Before that, we had OTAs. What's your general thoughts of how this has all played out the last 2 weeks with the Bears finally coming together and getting some practices, albeit in shorts?
I'm just happy to be seeing football again. So I think there's a lot of hoopla and a lot of, there's all eyes on the Bears MiniCamp. We haven't really heard much from it. I'm just excited to see that we got Bears football. I'm encouraged to hear how Ben Johnson is very detail-oriented and getting on the guys for mistakes, not letting any guy. The theme has been that he's not letting anything slide. Like we heard over the last part of Eberflus regime, that the Bears weren't always disciplined. And you saw that on the field. You saw stupid penalties, mental lapses, especially at the end of the game. So my thoughts are, I'm glad Ben Johnson is addressing the elephant in the room. Guys, we can't continue to have these lapses at the end of games, these pre-snap penalties, these lapses of these disciplines, these lapses in discipline. So I'm glad to hear that being addressed.
That's one of the things that's the biggest thing that's come from, because you remember, like you said, Eberflus, and I don't want to keep going back to Eberflus. His time is done. I don't want to throw dirt on the man's coaching grave, but everything was done in secrecy. Like, let's go back to the Tyree Stevenson thing from when we played DC, right?
Yeah.
He fucked up. And he said they was going to handle it. They was going to handle it. I don't remember what he said. I don't remember if he said he was going to handle it in-house or it was going to be nothing. They just talked about it. That was it. But then, it came out later that he was getting benched and there was some issues around with that. And he had came and initially he had lied to us, which is something he did all the time.
All the time. Apparently he lied to the team as well, though. So,
of course, yeah. I mean, liars lie. The juxtaposition between the way he did things and the way Ben Johnson is doing things so far is that Ben does things out in the open, and then he tells us about it. Like you said, he's getting on the guys for not being fast. Like when Caleb's throwing the ball, he's not getting through his reads fast enough. He's on Caleb's ass. Get through it faster. Cole Kmet's not lining up correctly. Calls the play dead. Line up correctly. Getting guys in motion. Dennis Allen on the side of the ball doing the same exact things. Holding guys accountable. You don't get to be the best team in the division, certainly one of the best teams in the conference 2 years in a row, without having a attention to detail, without making sure guys hold each other accountable, make sure they hold themselves accountable. And that's the most important brick, 20 of them, that you need to lay when you're trying to build a team that's a contender, right? And you will hope to see that a lot of the guys take this and, want to be coached hard and, take this and become winners, because we had an episode last year and we was thinking like, man, some of these guys may just be rotten. They might just not be winners.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, continue.
Yeah. So hopefully this is just what you want to see from, like I said, building up a team that's accountable and knows how to handle their business off the field in practice, Shout out to Allen Iverson, but practice is important. Handle their business in practice and then translate that to the game on Sundays and start kicking names and taking gas.
I think you got that term backwards, but with the Bears got to take ass on Sunday, then take the ass, please. Shout out
do
to
what you
D.
got to do.
Shout out to Diddy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I'm with you on that one. Another thing that I heard from MiniCamp, the attendance so far, right? It's been pretty much a 100% show out. No one is missing just because they don't want to be there. I know this is mandatory, right? But even during the OTA session last couple of weeks, everyone that was healthy was there. Luther Burden, he's hurt. TJ Edwards, he's hurt. Kyler Gordon, he's hurt. Braxton Jones, he's hurt. But those guys have been in and out of the building at least. No one's just like gone. And that's another good sign. You want to see guys buying in early. Montez Sweat, we'll talk about him later, but that's a key guy that I'd like to see this buying in early. Cole Kmet as well. You would have thought there might be some hard feelings when they drafted Colston Loveland number 1 in the draft, but he talked earlier this week about how Ben Johnson reached out to him right after the pick was made and told him exactly how he fits into the Bears' future plans for that position.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that goes back to what you said, where things are addressed early. Ben Johnson reached out to him and let him know, hey, this is what that is. When the season ended in 2023, we didn't know what was happening with the quarterback position. Everything was it didn't seem like Justin Fields knew. We saw maybe, a few days before he was traded. Obviously, he knew by then, but he took all the Bears logos and stuff off his Instagram. I guess Ryan finally called him and told him they were going in a different direction. But to me, at that point, you should know after almost 3 years to Justin Fields whether you're going in a different direction. And me and you both talked about how the handling of the Justin Fields situation obviously landed the Bears less trade capital for him. Kind of waiting the last minute, not being decisive on if you were going in a different direction. We felt Justin should have been moved earlier in the offseason to maximize on what the Bears could have got back. So, yeah, I like Ben Johnson reaching out to Cole Kmet, letting him know what's what, where you fit, what the plan is. That, yeah, we did take a guy at your position really high. So I don't know the details of that conversation, but I do like that Ben, showed empathy and showed, understanding, because games are played on the field, but on the field is still human. There's still a human element, So when you're honest and upfront with guys and there's clarity in your organization, I think you get the best out of the guys on the field, which is important, obviously.
These are grown men. They want to know what's going on. They don't want to be bottled up and not coddled, but don't treat them like they're kids, right? Like they're not in high school, they're not at Notre Dame. Treat them like grown men. Exactly. Be honest. Don't lie to us like you stole the election and you just BSing around.
This is going to be great watching this unfold. The Bears might have a new left tackle, and there might be a new president.
Those South Africans that he led into the country, they might be getting to turn around.
Back to the side you go.
Yep. You know what? Blame Eli. He messed it up for you. Speaking of that left tackle situation, though, that's interesting. How are you hearing that battle for number 2, possibly battle for number 1 so far?
Yeah, so my man Tyron, they said good things about him, but the guy that seems to have stole the show was Ozzie. I didn't know much about Ozzie going into the draft. I didn't know I didn't know where he fit, but apparently this guy is they're trying to make him a pure left tackle. When you draft guys that are tackles, very few of them can actually play on the left side, the blind side. A lot of them get moved to the right side. I thought Ozzie might be a guy that eventually was on the right side, or they might have on the right side, they might slide down there right to guard. But apparently Ozzie is doing really well in camp. I guess he took all the first team reps. So that is interesting. And Ozzie is a guy that's 6'8", 320. That's a huge human. So it seems like Ben Johnson is really reshaping that offensive line into what he had in Detroit. I mean, we all know Penny Sewell is a huge guy, huge and athletic. And Ozzie, he moves well for a guy. So he's not a stiff 6'8" guy. So that's what I'm hearing. I'm not counting Kyron out. Obviously they're in shorts and shells. So you don't see what the offensive lineman is really worth until there's, until you put on the helmet and shoulder pads. Let's be honest. I mean, those guys, you don't pay them to look good in shorts. It's a job where you got to get your hands dirty. So until we see them get their hands dirty, we don't know what's what. And then Braxton Jones is still lurking in the background. I don't want to count him out either because he's the veteran. He's been here. Is this going into year 4 for Braxton? Or year 3? This is year 4? Yeah, so he very well could come back and take this job. But, in a new system, not being able to participate in MiniCamp and OTAs, he's going to fight for that job.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't help him much that he's out until some point of camp. They've been very careful not to say he'll be back by camp. They said he'll be back at some point during. Yeah. So
wager right now. Who do you think is going to be the starting left tackle on the week 1?
I'm glad that I'm glad they took Darnell Wright out of the running for that. Britt Johnson. His not idea, but his rationale for that was like, I don't want guys going into the break after minicamp and going in the break in between minicamp and training camp, thinking about a new position. I want everybody locked into their spots and knowing where they're playing and they knowing their role at that point. That is excellent coaching from Ben Johnson right there. So Darnell's locked in at right. They like him at right, keep him at right. The guys that play left, let them fight for left. Braxton Jones, the old saying, can't make the club in the tub. Kyron Amagaji, he didn't have the best showing last season. He got absolutely
understatement of the year.
He got those cheeks. He got those cheeks. Yeah, Minnesota pulled his pants down. It was a very bad showing for him. However, you want to give him some grace. He didn't have a training camp. He was hurt all throughout the summer, right? Now we made fun of him being an Ivy League draft pick. We made fun of him being a project. Ryan Poles drafting a project. Made fun of all that. Now, give him his summer. Give him his chance to prove himself while in shorts and shells. He's looking good. Now, I agree with you. There's not much you can gain from this right now, but versus the guys that he can compete against, Ozzie and the ghost of Braxton Jones, he's a big guy. So if I had to wager going into camp, he's gonna be number 1 on the depth chart, and Braxton gonna have to fight him off.
Kyron's gonna be number 1. You think Kyron's gonna be number 1?
I think Kyron going into camp, Kyron be number 1 on the depth chart. Ozzie and Braxton is slotted at number 2, and Braxton had to fight off Kyron like Torrey had to fight off them dudes in L.A.
Torrey didn't win. He but it don't look like he won. The thing I like about the left tackle competition is we do have 3 guys competing. I'm not worried about left guard or center. I'm not worried about right tackle. I think Jonah will bounce back. So I think all 4 positions are outside of left tackle are going to be represented by good players and upgrades. The thing I like about the left tackle spot this year is there's going to be no room to not play well. There's 3 guys in the mix. So I think the spirit of competition is going to bring out the best in them. I mean, the last few years, who's Braxton had to look over his shoulder with? If he didn't play his best, who was going to go in there? Guys like Larry Boehm were clear. Right. Guys like Larry Boehm and the guys who played when he was hurt or competed behind him in camp, they were nowhere near suitable replacements or NFL level starters. So I like that this year there's 3 guys to compete. Obviously, whoever wins would not have a long leash.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. So coming off the left tackle discussion, we also do got some other stuff going on in camp. I want to continue with down the path of injuries. Brian, we already talked about Braxton Jones. He's out right now. Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards, Luther Burden. These guys, their injuries aren't considered to be serious. Now, I'm speaking mostly about Kyler Gordon and TJ Edwards. They're all got some type of soft tissue injury, but Luther, he got hurt during rookie minicamp, and he's still not out there in mandatory minicamp. Are you concerned?
Yeah, I'm concerned for the fact that he's a rookie and coming into an offense with complexities, and there's obviously a lot of competition. I am concerned that Luther will fall behind. He's got to get out there because the Bears have a lot of options. You can be looking at a lot of 12 personnel with Colston and Cole Kmet on the field. Like I said on draft night, it's not just Colston versus Kmet. It's Colston versus Kmet versus Luther Burden versus not even going to butcher his name. The kid from Washington and Atlanta. They're all in competition. I think a lot of what we decide to go in terms of offensive formation of personnel is going to depend on who looks the best in these workouts. Now, Colston is not cleared for physical contact yet, but he's, can participate in minicamp. He could run. So, yeah, I'm concerned for Luther because as a rookie, he needs every rep out there. Now, obviously, training camp is the most vital, but you got guys moving ahead of him right now, the healthy bodies. You can't trust the coaches when you sit on the sideline. Now, there's nothing Luther did wrong. I mean, injuries happen, but yeah, you can fall behind. So I think that dictates a lot of what personnel we actually run.
Oh, we'll definitely be in a lot of 12. As it looks like now, Cole is out there getting yelled at, so he's gonna know the playbook back and forth, right? Luther, I think this season, even though for a first year coach, I think this year has a lot of stakes attached to it. So I don't want to say this is a make or break season by any means for anybody, not even Caleb Williams, but not even Ryan Poles, because he already got the extension, right? So this is a notch underneath make or break, but it's definitely an important season. So I don't think they're going to just soft pedal a guy that's missed a rookie that's missed majority of the offseason program. And you'll have to fight his way back into the system during the season. You got to get in where you fit in.
Yeah, I think there's obviously going to be a role for Luther. The type of athlete he is, you want to design plays where you're going to get the ball in his hands and get him in space. But like you said, being a rookie and this is not a make or break year for Ben Johnson, but I think this is a year of emphasis where the Bears really want to compete. So I don't think they're going to be willing to just deal with growing pains from a rookie. So this is Caleb Williams' second year. They need to put the best guys and most ready guys out there. So yeah, this is year one of the Ben Johnson, but like you said, it's not exactly the rebuild. We're going to bring along guys slowly, and we're going to be okay with mistakes being made on the field. So Luther's playing time is going to be dictated on what he knows. I hope the kid head is in the books and he knows everything, because I don't think there will be a long leash for rookie mistakes this season, or veteran mistakes either.
Last thing about injuries, Jaquan Brisker, your boy, as affectionately called Kwani by Tiff. I told her not to say that no more, but she moves to the beat of her own drum. So, but Jaquan Brisker, he spoke about his concussion struggles last season. The thing that's got most people talking is that he said he's not changing up how he plays, regardless. He suffered his third concussion of his career.
Yeah, I have no problems with that.
He also said he never considered retirement at all last season. Don't think you should ever consider changing up how you play, especially even if the way you play leads to injuries, especially the worst type of injury, which is injuring your head. If you have to consider changing how you play, I think you should just retire. So it was important. I don't know if I want to use the word refreshing, but it was something I took note of, right? He said he never considered retirement. He never talked about that with his mom or anybody else that's close to him. He's ready to get back out there and ball and show everybody that he's still that guy. I want to believe what he's saying is earnest, but I also understand this is a business. He's seen his boy Kyler just get paid. He's seen everybody else on the squad getting paid. This is that time. He's up for a payday himself. He's still on that rookie deal. I hope he's not making let me not say a bad decision, but I hope none of his comments are coming from a financial place. It's more so coming from a place of I am healthy and I'm ready to go back out there and play the game that I love.
I'm not gonna lie. When I see Jaquan out there this year, I'm gonna cringe when there's a bang play, or he has to hit a tight end, or he's coming downhill and meeting the running back in the hole. I am going to cringe, because Brisker is one of my favorite players. Him and Kyler Gordon both embody the things we loved about watching Mike Brown play. So, yeah, and Kwani I call him Kwani. God damn it, Tiff. Quan has to be cognizant. Yeah, this is your fourth round?
I believe him and Gordon came in together, right? So this would be year 4.
Yeah, this is heading into year 4. So this is the end of his rookie deal. Yeah. He's got to be thinking about getting paid. And I love to see Quan get paid. But the realistic side of this is Quan has to be healthy. He's got to be healthy to get this is a critical year where he has to be healthy to get paid. I want him to keep his same style. Like you said, I hope he's being truthful about that, because that's the best Quan Brisker we're going to see. The guy who plays like a Tasmanian devil, who hits everything moving, who plays like a human torpedo. That's the guy that's on the cusp of getting paid. The Bears have already paid Jalen Johnson. They've paid Kyler Gordon. Tyreek is coming up in the year 3. He's a Ryan Poles pick. So despite his up and down year last year, Poles got to be looking to reward him. There's only a certain amount of guys you're going to pay in the secondary. That's the realistic side of the business. That's the realistic side for any position group. You can only pay so many guys in the salary cap structure. We saw with the Chiefs, they had to let L'Jarius Sneed go last offseason. They traded him because they could afford to pay him and O.J. McDuffie in that secondary. So the Bears are right now on the board. Jalen got paid. Kyler got paid. Kyler's contract isn't too ridiculous. But you got to think there's only room for maybe one more highly paid guy in that secondary probably. And unless, of course, you're looking at 3 guys who are all pros. Then I can see the Bears doing that and maybe letting another position group suffer. But it's probably only one more guy that can get a huge paycheck out of this group.
Did you say O.J. McDuffie?
Trent McDuffie. I'm sorry. So am I. Trent McDuffie. Listen, when you've been watching football 30 years, sometimes now I wonder if they're related. I know that everybody remembers O.J. McDuffie, the Dolphins wide receiver.
Wide receiver, yeah.
I'm glad you caught that. I'm showing my age.
Well, as soon as you said that, I was like, what? Whoa. There's another McDuffie running around.
I'm sorry, man. I meant Trent.
That's cool. Question: when do you pay Jaquan Brisker? Let's say his season starts the exact same way that it started last season, and you get to game 4?
That was game 5, I believe.
Yeah, right around that time. And before you walk into that week, do you put contract on the desk?
Yes, I do.
And answer the question. Okay.
Yeah, yes, I do, because I think with a guy like Brisker, what we saw last year in those first 5 weeks, I think we were seeing a guy that was going to be in the Pro Bowl. He was going to be in Hawaii in February.
If you can win a game for your team from the defensive side of the ball, if you win a game for the team, he did that. He won that game for the Bears, right? If you can do that from the defensive side of the ball, you are a key element to that team. And you are in the conversation for Pro Bowler. Locks, stop right there, right? So yeah, I do think he was on that Pro Bowl trajectory. However, I'm going to disagree with you there. Just based on the injury history, and I know how cold he is when he's healthy, and this does put the Bears in a very difficult situation with both of their safeties are now free agents. I got to see him. He got to make it through the season before I even put it down. If I put the contract down, he got to.
Now here's the thing: if he makes it through the season and he plays like he did last year, you're gonna have to. What was the term that? Who said it? I don't think it ended up in his favor. Was it Jarvis Landry that said you're gonna have to back the Brinks truck?
It might have been Landry.
And then he was exposed as a pure slot receiver and never got paid. But if Brisker ends up playing like he did, and say he gets 15, 16, 17 games, you're going to be making him amongst the top 5 to 7 paid safeties in the league. I feel like if you get him early, you might be able to get a discount.
I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be like that, because you know how these contract negotiations go. You go to arbitration, all that stuff. Even if so, you had one good season, bro. One good season. We are not the Packers. We're not going. You're not sticking us up like you're Jordan Love or anybody like that. You had one good season. You had a bunch of injuries. You had a bunch of injuries prior to this one good season. You're gonna have to take you giving us a discount regardless.
I would love to see him give a discount. I would love to see him stay as a Bear, because if he doesn't, that means you're bringing in 2 new safeties next year. Because I don't see a scenario, unless Kevin Bird just balls out and plays like he did with the Titans, you're probably not bringing Bird back. Even if he has a solid season, it's nothing against him, but I think he'll be going. Is he turning 32 this year, or is he already 32?
He's one of the two, 32 or 33. He's in there, right?
33. Yeah, you're not giving a 33, 34-year-old another contract, especially now that the Bears have moved on. The Bears are not going into next offseason with the most salary cap space like they have the last few years. Now you're getting into the portion of hopefully you're a good team as well and you're handing out extensions, but hopefully next year you're thinking about let's move money around so in a year or 2 we can extend Caleb and Rome. So hopefully you're in that state of mind at the end of this year. So you're not really looking to give Bird new money. You obviously, Brisker, if he's still here in the future, he'll have a new running mate, but you could have 2 new safeties in 2026.
Kevin Byard was born on June 5th, 1993. Happy birthday, Kevin Byard. You are now a 32-year-old.
Happy birthday.
Bear down.
After Zoomies at the dog park, it's time for Drive Up at Target. In goes a big bag of kibble and one squeaky chicken toy for the good boy. Drive up that's ready when you are. Only in the Target app. Just tap Target.
All right, let's talk about Caleb Williams. Let's talk about his performance and OTAs and MiniCamp. We discussed Ben Johnson being on everybody's case, his included, about, being where you need to be and being on time, right? I think we talked about this last year. We talked about this the year before that. Defense is ahead of the offense in MiniCamp. All right, episode over. Caleb, it's the same thing this year. Caleb's been reported up and down, and the defense is more ahead of schedule than where the offense is, which makes total sense. To me, at least. I don't want to speak for you. Do you have any issues with what's been reported so far about Caleb Williams in MiniCamp?
No, none at all. You want to see him get his struggles out now. You want to see him see what he can get away with and take his risk, squeezing the ball into tight spaces down the field. You want to see that. I'm not concerned about any struggles right now. He's at an entirely new offense, new verbiage. Maybe he's in his first NFL offense, to be honest with you, with the way things ran with Shane Waldron before. So I'm not at all worried about it. And I know fans are probably like, well, the Bears are in a new defense. Dennis Allen. Well, the thing is, cover 2, cover 3, single high, cloud coverages, press man. All these coverages are universal in the NFL. They're ran the same way. Dennis Allen may have a different, there may be a different system, but defense, I feel like defense is easier to pick up. Even if you got a new DC calling the plays, I feel like it's easier to pick up. Offense is going to be so many more intricacies, nuances. So yeah, the defense will still be ahead, even though both units are having different signal callers. I'm okay with the Caleb Williams struggles. That should happen. Yeah. Story over. No story until the season starts.
Did you hear that Dennis Allen said they had like 13 different variations of cover 3?
Oh yeah, no, I do get that, and I believe that. But I'm just saying, cover 3 in general, you kind of know where you're supposed to be. Even the offense, when the quarterback, you know what cover 3 is going to be. Now you might have different disguises, you might have different personnel in that cover 3. I get what Dennis Allen is saying. He's right.
You're going to make mistakes. Do it now in May when you're in shorts and not doing anything else. We're not playing on Sundays. All right. So let's talk competitions. So we did talk about the left tackle competition that's going on right now. What about that quarterback competition they got going on in camp?
You know what? That is a side story I'm interested in. The Bagent backers, I want to see what they're thinking now that we have kind of a journeyman who's coming in and there's a real competition. I am interested to see what the Bears do because Case Keenum said he was on the brink of retiring and they talked him into it. Ben Johnson got him out, got him signed. So if you talk a guy like Case Keenum who's on the borderline of retiring and he does you a solid and comes back, even if he's in the competition for number 2, you're probably not going to release that guy, right? Are the Bears going to do 3 quarterbacks on the opening day roster? Or is Bagent not only fighting for the number 2 spot, but fighting for a roster spot as well? He would have to be and then signed to the practice squad. With the way Bagent talkers, I saw a guy online say that the Bears should trade Tyson Bagent to the Raiders for a 2nd-round pick. I'm like, what earth are you in? You think a backup quarterback with marginal numbers as a starter is worth a 2nd-round pick? So, the Bears fans are delusional. Well, a segment of them are delusional about the Tyson Bagent value. So I'm really interested to see what happened. I saw notes that Case Keenum, was it OTAs, that he was lining up with the second team. And then in MiniCamp, he's lining up with the second team. And then Bajan got his turn with the second team. So I'm really interested to see what that really. Don't forget, you still got Austin Reed on the roster, the guy who was on the practice squad last year. It'll look pretty good in preseason. So I don't know. And I think, was it Courtney Cronin talking about Tyson Bajan extension? I haven't heard anything about that. Not saying the polls or Ben Johnson indicated that, but Courtney Cronin was saying something about it's in the time frame where you would extend Tyson Bajan. I don't know about you. That's not really high on my list of priorities to extend Bajan.
There's about 17 different things that I think are more important than extending Tyson Bajan.
Yeah.
Number one of them is of the stadium. Well, not number one, but that's in there. That's up in there. But we'll talk about that stadium stuff at the end of the show. Last thing, camp related. Another thing that Ben Johnson's been harping on the team about, presence. And I'm not talking about attendance, right? I'm talking about your body language on the field. How often did we not hypothesize, but talk about
Yes, we did.
The facial expressions from Caleb, the facial expressions from DJ Moore, the huffing and puffing on the sideline. He said, "Put all that nonsense out now. Get it out your system now. We're going to be professionals on the squad. One band, one sound."
What's amazing to me is some of the things we complained about the last 2 years, and these are just the obvious things. How quick Ben Johnson's getting to it. And it frustrates me that Eberflus was even allowed to coach Caleb Williams or the Bears last year. These are things we've been complaining about. It doesn't matter what profession you're in. No one wants to see their coworker huffing, puffing in their cubicle, wherever they're at. I don't care what profession you're at. If you're a stripper getting on the pole, you don't want to see the next one with an attitude where they get up on the pole. You want to see everybody upbeat. Twerk with a smile, show up to work. I don't care what profession you're in. You want to see your coworkers energetic. You want positive energy transfers. So you don't want to see DJ Moore after him and Caleb don't connect. I understand football is an emotional sport, but it can't be throwing a fit, your helmet off, you looking mad, get frustrated, get excited, to get to the next play. Like, that lingered too much. Like, just the head down, the walking back to the sideline looking defeated. Caleb with the same thing. Yeah, I agree with Ben Johnson. Next play, get your, clap your hands, get mad, yell, whatever you got to do, but keep the body language high. Remain confident. Don't let it linger. Last year we saw that linger too much, and that's why the Bears, that's why things went downhill so fast with them in a lot of these games.
I wouldn't say it's the main reason why things went downhill, but it was a main reason why there was a lot of toxic energy in the fan base around the squad. And I blame Eberflus. Everything comes back to Eberflus. So DJ Moore, and my thing with DJ Moore is that he's never been on a winning team. Who is he to have all this huffing and puffing going on? So a bad play happened. You've been a part of bad plays your whole career. Let's look in the mirror. All right, everybody, look in the mirror and understand we all could be better. All right, let's not try to push down the next man. Ain't no one on this squad better than the next man. Everybody on this team has been losers their whole career, Jalen Johnson included. So we all got to band together to become the winners that we think we are. Because it's all the thought right now. You ain't done anything yet. You haven't proven anything yet. Let's all get together and let's cut the loser mentality and start becoming winners in reality.
When you look at the roster, the only guy, well, off the top of my head, that has been part of a consistent winner is Joe Thuney. Been on the Patriots, played with Tom Brady, played with Pat Mahomes. I believe he won Super Bowls with both, right? Yeah, so
Yeah,
he's
he's
going
got
to
3 rings, I think.
3.
I
Okay,
think he's got 3 rings. I know he's been to the Super Bowl, I think 5 times. I think he's got 3 rings. But I'm glad you brought that up. His inclusion to that offensive line makes everybody better. Hopefully it makes Darnell Wright go to Super Saiyan mode. Just watching his practice habits, picking his brain, go to the next level.
I need Darnell Wright to be a dog this year because Jalen Carter's already a dog, and we had a chance to draft him. I'm like you. I'm criticizing every move that cost us the other move. So when you look at things like Chase Claypool going in the second round and who was available in that second round, I'm scrutinizing all of them, especially if Foles got that extension. So yeah, I need Darnell Wright to ascend, but I can't be satisfied unless he's a Pro Bowler this year. At the very least, an alternate. So yeah, Joe Thuney being on that left side, that is very key because whoever breaks camp as the starter on the left side can use the Joe Thuney experience and the knowledge that he's bringing to the left side and obviously help because that guard and tackle left side are going to have to be, in tune with, catching these stunts and understand these pressure and to take the hot man or if the backer's showing blitz or, coming out of the A gap. So yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's segue to the season. We've talked about what we think is all. What we think the impact Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen and the rest of the rest of the assistant coach are going to have on this squad. Let's prognosticate a little bit. Who do we think is going to have the biggest glow up this season?
The biggest glow up. Glow up or bounce back? Before I answer this question,
bounce back, glow up. I'm using them interchangeably. Who's gonna bounce back the highest?
On the offensive side of the ball, I'm gonna go with Caleb. I'm gonna go with Caleb. I think he takes a tremendous leap in year 2. I think the hard coaching through MiniCamp, the training camp, which is going to make him a better overall player. So on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going with Caleb. On the defensive side of the ball, then there are a bunch of names that I think could really excel in this Dennis Allen defense. There's a lot of candidates. I'm gonna go with Kyler Gordon though. I know I'm kind of playing it safe. I wanted to do a hot take. I wanted to go with Tyreek, but I'm gonna go with Kyler Gordon. The man just got paid. You saw him take tremendous leaps last year. With the way Dennis Allen is talking, he's going to be moved around the formation a lot. And this is a guy that's athletic and physical. So I think moving him around the formation, you can't lose. I mean, he's going to be in a position to make tons of plays. You can see him at safety this year. You can see him outside corner. You can see him at slot. You can see him at kind of that rover position. So on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with Kyler Gordon. I'm going to play it safe.
That's cool. I'm not going to play it safe. I got 2 guys, just like you got 2 guys. I was going to go Montez Sweat, and I was leaving Tyreek Stevenson for you, but I'm going to say Tyreek Stevenson. Montez Sweat, he's in camp, and he said the reason why he was showing up because he was disappointed in the last season. So he's there, he's leading by example. He's showing up and say, that was unbecoming of me. I'm getting it done this year. I'm here early. I'm putting boots to the ground. No Beyonce. I'm boots to the ground and I'm getting it. I'm putting the work in early, but that is not who I'm thinking is going to have the biggest bounce back. Tyreek Stevenson, he's going to be filled with rage. He's heard all the negative talk, all the press for all off season, majority of last season, too emotional, yada, 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 yada. And he got picked on every game in that scheme that Eberflus played. He almost throwing the ball to Jalen's side. And this defense, like you said, I'm going to quote Tyreek here. Dennis Allen's system allows you to earn your money as a defensive back. You play a lot of man, you do a lot of traveling. I think that's going to work in his favor for somebody who's as physical and as hungry as he is. I know that game against DC, that rematch, is circled on the calendar. My man, that's your time to show out. I know you got one.
Is it back in Washington?
Yeah,
I can't wait.
It's your time to show out. Now, this will be the third straight year we played them. I think we talked about this before. The first time was Justin Fields. I think it was our first win of that season. Justin Fields has like his best game of his career when we played DC on Thursday Night Football. Last year, obviously, we had the Hail Mary catastrophe. This year, rubber match in their building. Let's run up the score. Tyreek, square up with anybody on the field. We going that the issue I had with that team a lot of times is we didn't fight. A lot of teams just brought the fight to us. This year, bring the fight to them. Tyreek, I got that for you.
Dennis Allen don't play that. You're not going to be out there. You won't be on Dennis Allen's field long if you get punked and bullied. This will be the defense for you, Tyreek. Now, you got to obviously play within the whistle. You can't do silly stuff to cost the team personal fouls. But this is going to be the defense for you. Dennis Allen likes that rah-rah, that physical, that get on him. He likes that. You said you didn't want to say make or break. This is a make or break year for Tyreek. Year 3, I believe this is a make or break year for Tyreek. If he don't get it now, he won't be a Bear in year 4. He might not even make it to the end of the rookie contract. So this is a huge year for Tyreek.
On offense, DeAndre Swift is my bounce back player. Now, everybody, you included, you included Q, said that he is not going to be on the squad too long. Ben Johnson hates him. Well, they didn't get a running back in the draft until round 7. And I'm hearing good things about that guy they drafted in round 7. But however, he ain't taking DeAndre Swift's job. Roschon Johnson, he ain't taking DeAndre Swift's job. DeAndre Swift, he's the man. He's probably as safe as a guy on the offensive side of the ball right now. He's heard all the talk, just like Tyreek Stevenson. He's seen Ben Johnson's offense before. He's got a leg up on anybody or most of anybody else on the squad. He's ready to show and prove himself. They think it's going to be a pretty much passing offense. No. He understands. In Ben Johnson's offense, you got to run the ball. He's ready to get his Pro Bowl season on himself. DeAndre Swift, bounce back season.
His last year with the Eagles. Now, the interesting thing about DeAndre Swift, I've been up and down on him. I've kind of waffled on him. You take it back to last year, right around this time. I think when we discussed Frazier, I told you how on board I was with DeAndre Swift, how I liked it. I liked the move. Said that on the show when they signed him initially. He was up and down last year. And this offseason, yes, I wanted the Bears to draft another running back, his eventual replacement. I've looked at some things, and yeah, you're right. He probably is the safest guy on the offense. Outside of Joe Tooney, he is, with skill position players, he probably is the safest guy. I don't foresee Roschon challenging him to take over the lion's share of the carries. I think Roschon and Kyle Monunga will both be competing to be the change of pace back and to relieve him. And like you said, he is familiar with the Ben Johnson offense. And Ben Johnson speaks highly of him. And I looked into some things. DeAndre Swift, a lot of his problem with the Lions, it wasn't performance. It was staying on the field. He could not stay healthy. You go back to DeAndre Swift's year with Ben Johnson, he was on pace for career highs in everything. Highest yards per carry. He was pretty explosive per touch with Ben Johnson. So I think you could see a repeat of that. DeAndre's got to stay healthy. But he's done that the last couple of years. But yeah, when he was with Ben Johnson, if you go back and look, he was on pace for a really good year if he could have stayed healthy.
Biggest problem with him at this point in his career has always been health. And he had a pretty good healthy year in Philly before he came to the Bears. He was pretty healthy there too. I think he may have shook that. I think he might be going 3 years in a row. It is, it's a new narrative on his career.
Here under Ben Johnson, this guy, man, he only played 14 parts of 14 games, but he was averaging 5.5 yards per pop under Ben Johnson. Man, if we can get that type of production per carry, that would be great. And he averaged 8 yards per reception and had 389 yards in that year under Ben Johnson. So that's one thing to look for. I'd be excited if we can get that type of that 5.5 yards. If we can get 5 yards per carry, that would be love. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I'm not going that far. 5 carries. I mean, 5 yards per carry. I'm not going. It's a bit much. I'm not going that far. I'll be happy if the Bears as a unit, as a rushing unit, averages 5 a carry. Scrambles, running backs, all that stuff. Sweep,
5 yards per carry. I'd be ecstatic if we were. Listen, if you tell me if you played spoiler, we talking about pay from January, and you went and told me the Bears average 5 yards per carry, I say they're still playing football in January. Because if you're averaging 5 yards a carry, you're probably winning a lot of games, and as long as you're getting the carries, but you're probably winning a lot of games. You're probably effective in controlling the clock. I would say the Bears definitely won 10 games and are playing into January if they can average 5 yards per carry.
The Bears. You can close up talking about the stadium, right? What have you heard about the stadium lately?
I'm exhausted over the stadium thing. I'm exhausted. From the reports I hear that Arlington Heights is looking like it is the front runner again by a significant amount.
The Chicago Bears have sought legislative support in Springfield for the stadium in Arlington Heights, but they didn't get any progress with the session that ended on May 31st. They were looking for a statewide bill that would allow private developers to negotiate tax certainty with local taxing bodies that will aid their negotiations with Arlington Heights and those taxing districts out there, right? Support for the bill, they're saying there was some support for the bill, but you got to remember, even in Illinois, as big as the state as Illinois is, majority of the congressmen in the Senate down there in Springfield come from Chicago, right? So they're not. You can imagine that a lot of people that are from Chicago, lawmakers from Chicago, are not going to help the Bears in their journey to leave Chicago, right? They're going to make the Bears negotiate with Chicago in some way, shape, or form. Some people are saying that the possibility of the Bears exploring flirting. There's been obviously now there's some people saying that the possibility is open and the Bears can actually entertain some other ideas outside of Arlington Heights and Chicago, maybe even Northwest Indiana.
Don't make the Bears the Indy animal. Please do not make the Bears the Indy animal. Once you cross State Line Road, the smell is a little different. In fact, once you get close to State Line Road, the smell is a little different. I'm not with the Bears being no Indy animals. The only Indy animal NFL team needs to be the Colts. We don't need to share a state with the Colts. It's Arlington Heights or South Loop for me. And that's it. I think a lot of this is posturing. I did read that they're going to make it hard for the Bears to go to suburbs. Matter of fact, why not let the Bears be in the suburbs? What is the big pushback against the Bears being in the suburbs?
You understand as a Chicagoan that Chicagoans are very stingy when it comes to that word Chicago. If you say you from Chicago, don't let me find out you actually from Naperville. Don't let me find out that you from Riverdale. Like stand up for Riverdale. Don't claim Chicago if you from the other side of 119th Street.
127th. The city really goes to 131st, 132nd when you get to Allgale.
That's not true.
Oh,
that's not true.
You're not going to Allgale.
Allgale is not Chicago. That is Riverdale.
It is hold on. Allgale Garden is within city limits on the map. Now, Riverdale is also a suburb and it's also a community. Allgale is part of Riverdale community. It is not part of Riverdale, the town, the suburb, the sub-city. It's not part of that. So taking the city goes all the way to 100. I think the furthest it goes, and even when you get around Burnham, East Chicago, I think the city extends to 133rd.
Listen, man, all that don't make, I don't understand nothing you just said, all that Thornton Township and all the other stuff. Listen, is Thornton fractional? Is Thornton, is Thornwood? I don't understand the differences between all that. Is Dalton a part of Thornwood? I don't know. I'm a Chicagoan. Listen, like you said,
we had a new generation. We in 2026. This is 2026. I mean, we're in June. 2025 is halfway done. For all you New Year, New Me people, y'all blew it. Start getting a New Year resolution 2026. In this new year, I think we got to be more inclusive. People that are in Country Club Hills, in Harvey, Riverdale, Dalton, Evanston, Skokie, I think we got to embrace them as Chicagoans now. It's time. It's a new era. We got to embrace them as Chicagoans. And if the Bears want to be in the suburbs, we still got to embrace them as the Chicago Bears. You got to stop being one of them old school Chicago people. You got to be more inclusive. It's a new day and age. Got to stop gatekeeping the term Chicago. Extend that into the suburbs.
Well, you might as well extend it all the way to Gary because
we're not going across state lines. Ain't nobody in Hammond. Nah, the Indianimals, I don't know what they got going on over there with their culture. They dancing, they food. They not Chicagoans. Now, you Hammond listeners, don't start claiming Chicago. You in that red state. Stick to your little red state. You're a Hoosier. Go enjoy the Pacers.
I'm definitely gatekeeping Chicago because every time something leaves Chicago, we get worse. You ever had Harold's in Atlanta? Trash. You ever had Giordano's in Atlanta? Trash. You ever had Harold's in Phoenix? Trash. All of it. I'm gatekeeping it. So it's just what I am.
Listen, I did have Harold's in I had Harold. Is the one on 127th Halsted? Is that the city or is that Cal Park? Because the one on 127th Halsted, that's a good Harold's.
Yeah, you're not lying. That's top 5 best Harold's around.
That's top 5 with the Harold's. And you said they're technically in Cal Park. I didn't know if they were on that side of Halsted where it's still the city. So don't do too much on the suburbs that neighbor Chicago. We got to be inclusive, man. Them Riverdale people, they might as well be Chicagoans.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Sports are all about teamwork, and so is insurance. Whether you need an in-person or digital assist, State Farm is there to help you choose the right coverage for your home, car, and more. Get a game plan that helps fit your life and talk to State Farm today. State Farm with the assist. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability and eligibility vary by state.
I'm not doing it. Evanston, you're not in Chicago. Oak Park, you're not Chicago.
The whole West Side doesn't need to be part of Chicago. You get no arguments from me. But Riverdale, Harvey, they got streets like Halsted. They got State. They got Indiana. They got the same streets. If you go up Halsted, you'll be in a city. You can walk from Riverdale to the city. I feel like if you in walking distance, you could kind of get away with claiming the city. We're going to let them claim the city.
Nah, Evergreen Park, maybe, but none of the rest. I'm not doing. I'm not going. All right, so there is a ray of hope, and I think the Bears need to just come off that bread. As you did hear about the Chicago Fire having a venture capital. They're going to privately fund their own stadium, a soccer only stadium at the 78, right? Where Jerry Reinsdorf and the White Sox had hoped to get state funds to build their new stadium, right?
Now, where exactly is that Fire Stadium going to be?
Roosevelt and the river. So what's that, Canal?
Okay,
Street?
So how does this affect the Bears' plans to also be in? Is the South Loop? Is there enough development space to put a soccer stadium and a Bear? Because weren't they going to play somewhere? Weren't they looking at a spot around along Roosevelt as well?
That same area. That's the new 78 is like 62 acres, is according to what they say on Google. So I mean, that'd have been enough space for a massive stadium for football too.
So you're obviously more in tune with this than I am. Is there any possibility because when the Fire first came to Chicago, I'm trying to recollect, did they not play at Soldier Field before they went out to whatever that spot is on Harlem? I don't know if that's Bridgeview. Did they not play?
Yeah, they alternate games from that place. I think it's called the Wintrust or Wintrust, something like that. Sports complex in Bridgeview, Broadview rather. They play some games at Soldier. They play a majority of their games out there, but still, they're privately spending $650 million for 17 home games at a soccer only stadium in the South Loop.
There's enough MLS money. You catch people with this. Like I said, you obviously more in tune with this. There's enough money I'm talking about American soccer, MLS. There's enough money for them to privately finance $650 million stadium?
No, not it. That's where it comes. You get, rich people, they get loans, they got good credit, they got buddies with money. They pull it all together. No one's digging that deep in their pockets to do their own thing. So it's a little bit of a fugazi right there. But I think what you're asking is like this. If they're going to do this, it puts more pressure back on the Bears and the White Sox because, hey, look, the Cubs did it. The Cubs spent their own money to renovate.
To get. So why are the Bears seeking so much public money if the Fire can come up with $650 million? I don't know all the numbers. I know the Bears are worth a whole lot more and bringing a lot more revenue than the Fire. So when I hear you say this, I'm kind of on the side with Brisker, and I'm like, pay for your own damn stadium.
So I agree. You should be able to pay for your own stadium. You're going billionaires. If you're no, that was I was about to get to. The McCaskey family, the Hallis family, they are not billionaires, right? They bought this team for like what, $100 back in the day. So the majority of their money is in football, like same as the New York Giants family, the Maras. They got their money in football. Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, the Roonies, they were mobbed. They were mobbed up, but that's
they got their hands in a lot of politics too.
Right. So speaking about the Ricketts who own the Cubs and the guy who owns the Fire, they're actual billionaires. They're actual people that got money and diversified funds. They can do some other things versus what
ain't billionaires.
Not, and last I checked, no, and I wouldn't expect it. I mean, they're rich. I mean, they got rich friends. They probably do insider trading.
What you're saying?
Not, I don't know about it. They do. It ain't heavy. It ain't enough to put billions out there.
I copy.
Okay. So what they need to do is the Bears are going to need to offer some concessions. So the Bears have been playing at Soldier Field that the city owns, the Park District owns it, right? So, but they haven't had to pay. They haven't had to pay rent. They haven't had to pay for upkeep. It's all been city stuff. All been taxpayer funded. Right. And they just keep all the money that comes out of it, right? Which is the White Sox too, which is not the best deal when it comes to trying to tell the taxpayers that, hey, pay for this and you'll get it on the back end. Listen. So they're saying the Bears need to come up with a better revenue sharing plan with the city or address some of that remaining debt that's on the Soldier Field, because there's still a lot of debt on that from the last renovation back.
Their profit is right?
33.
33.
So there's they're going to have to, Kevin Warren, he was hired to figure all this out. And he keeps coming back to Chicago because I feel like the McCaskies, they really want to stay in Chicago. You know what I mean? And I feel like Brandon Johnson, Brisker, they understand that, and they're playing hardball because they know they know the Bears really ain't trying to leave no way.
No, they know that. I don't know. Did you watch the show The Ozarks?
I did.
This kind of reminds me. Remember they were trying to get the casino. Just kind of reminds me of that game. But when you say the Fire finance their own stadium, I kind of Bears balls in your court. Finance your own stadium too. And the other thing I want to ask you: any possibility the Bears and Fire could go into a joint venture on the stadium where they both play there, or was that something that isn't appealing?
I don't think the Fire want to do that because I think the Fire had a lot of problems with the field condition, Soldier Field. So
I remember that.
So from right now, and the Bears had their same issue, but I don't think that's a Bears issue. I think that's just a Soldier Field issue.
That's what I think. And is this new Fire Stadium? Is this going to be natural grass or is it going to be artificial?
I haven't seen any renderings or any plans for it yet. Okay. They came out of left field that they was actually even paying for anything. Like the Chicago, who I think a lot of people just figured out that Chicago actually had a soccer team when he heard the news. But yeah, it's, and you heard, like you said, I want to bring it back to what you said about Brisker. You said that you're on the side with Brisker and everything. It was also reports, I think it was last week, that Brisker actually did hire some lobbyists to negotiate with the Bears. So even though publicly he's saying that, yeah, we're not interested in this proposal, that proposal, behind closed doors, he really is.
Yes, all this stadium politics and back and forth, man, it's got my head spinning. I know we disagree on things. The Bears can lead a city as far as I'm concerned. They can't lead a state. I don't see, man, 2 stadiums, a big soccer stadium and a football stadium. Traffic gonna be terrible. I drive around this city. I'm not trying to have any more traffic congestion, anything.
A real Chicagoan knows how to get out on the L, man. You can get there. You can get around. You can get around traffic if you want to go to the game.
Man, listen, I used to ride the red line. That's uncomfortable at certain stops. It's a real Chicagoan also knows sometimes you got to get for a certain stop.
69 ain't hurt nobody. That's a lie. I just lied right there because I know a lot of people that got hurt at 60.
Man, 69th. I'm nervous when them doors open. When the doors open 79, 69, 30. I don't know who's getting on.
Why are we talking about the L? I mean, a reason why a lot of this state funding conversation is not going in the Bears' way because they say the L, the RTA rather, they need a lot of money themselves, and we love the Bears. We want the Bears to get what they want and everybody be happy, but yeah, you got to fund the RTA first, though. I mean, that's more important. They need $750 million. So I mean, I'm sorry, Bears. They got to get that bread first, man.
And people still take public transportation.
It's a big city, bro. You got to get if you want to go to the Beyonce concert, right? You rather drive and sit in traffic. You rather take an expensive Uber, or you just want to I'm just gonna jump on this little green line right here, be there, be cool. I got me a $5 one day.
Listen, me personally, I'm driving or taking an Uber. The last time I was on any public transportation, man, I had to stand up. And then when the seat became available, there was small condensation and steam rising from it. Man, I ain't getting... Last time I was on the bus, there was a crazy person shouting and semi-nude on there. Man, I ain't done the CTA and red line. I ain't done the red line and man, I had to be the 2000s. We in 2025 now. I ain't been on none of that in a decade and a half. I ain't doing it.
What you just said, everything right there, that's what makes Chicago great. It's colorful, right? But man,
ain't nothing great about somebody that's talking to invisible people. Man, that's the one thing I hate about the Red. It was always a lady talking to somebody invisible.
Man, look, I'm fine with it, man. It gives a little color to the day. But as long as the Bears stay away from Gary, Indiana, I think we're all good, right?
No Gary, no Hammond, no Indiana, period.
Unless you're sending the Sox there.
Bear down. Bear down.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. Don't matter if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watch it on Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And to all the guys from Chicago, we say three things. Bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.